Hi everyone and welcome to Beat the First Man podcast with your host Lee. I'm here to talk about all things Argyle and being in the Championship for the first time in 13 years. And we are already one weekend into the season. We're about to start our second season, so let's just jump straight in it. So first we're going to start with a preview of last season. It's only going to be a quick preview. As I said, we're already into the Championship season, so we wanted to start this early. I've got a co-host that we want to try to do this with. Hasn't worked out in time wise, so I'm just going to try and jump into it first and see if we can bring a co-host into it later. He's a Cardiff fan, so that should be interesting for the season ahead. So last season, where to start with last season? 101 points, top of the league, champions. Although Ipswich apparently won it 6 months before and were the best team in the league statistically, apart from the one that counted, being top. But we did incredible. Well, we didn't expect to be up there. In all honesty, we were hoping for playoffs at least, and we ended up smashing it and just proving everyone wrong. Highlights for the season. A few games obviously come to mind. Derby away, to come from 2-0 down to win 3-2. No one saw that coming. Big Sam Cosgrove coming on for his debut, getting us 2 goals and taking that one. Big game in the season that was. You have to go to the Devon Derby at home park. Hard fought game. We come out 4-2 winners, but Ballymumba scoring that equaliser. The crowd encouraging to shoot. You know, you get those goals every now and again that just stick in your mind that remind you as to why you love football and that feeling of football, and it's that moment you'll never forget. That was Ballymumba and his goal against Exeter for me. I've got it posted up on the wall. It's just going to be one of those goals that stays there, and for me that was a big part of our season, our run-in. That win, turnaround and hard-fought battle really pushed us forward in making sure we kept going in the way we were going. Got to talk about the Ipswich games, home and away. Home, obviously we come back, we won 2-1 against Ipswich. 2 quick goals, turned it around. Morgan Whittaker getting the winner in that one. Outside of the boot curler. I was there, crowd went crazy. That was a big turning point, but you got to then look at Ipswich away. 1-0 down, injury time coming up. Ballymumba out of nowhere managed to curl it top corner, slight deflection, but we don't care. It went in, and effectively that point against Ipswich is what allowed us to win the title over Ipswich come the end of the season. So big turning, big game, big point, big go in the season by that man Ballymumba again. I don't know how many people agree with this one. Wembley, the final against Bolton. It hurts. We didn't turn up. We didn't play well. We travelled with our numbers, and it didn't happen. We didn't turn up that game. But I do believe if we didn't lose that game, we wouldn't have went on the run we went on after. That loss, that feeling that the team had in that game of not turning up, disappointment, certainly spurred them on, I think, for the rest of the season, and allowed us to clinch that promotion and title. So I think if we won that trophy, I think the season might have ended differently. But for me, that 4-0 loss at Wembley was a big point in our season that allowed us to actually kick on and win the title that we probably wouldn't have, maybe not have won if we hadn't had that loss. I don't know if anyone else agrees with that, but that's my feeling on that one. So in a way, I'm glad we lost that final. And the other way, it would have been nice to not lose it the way we did. Not one of our games, but highlights of the season. Sheffield Wednesday, top of the league, cruising, looking like no one was catching them. Collapsed. Easily put. They collapsed last season. They looked out of sight, they looked unstoppable, and they just fell apart. 2 games in hand, many points ahead, and they just fell apart, which allowed us to creep up and Ipswich to stay up there. And that was just a major part of the season. Without that happening, well, we maybe would have still finished above Ipswich and clinched second, but Sheffield Wednesday's collapse was a big highlight of the season, a big part of how Argyle ended up winning the title. Then the promotion winning game, home to Barton, Niall Ennis winning the only goal of the game. Scenes that were beautiful to be part of, amazing, never going to forget them. But obviously that's when we clinched promotion. That's when we were confirmed back in the Championship. So major game, we can't forget that one. And then the following game, obviously after that, was Port Vale, where we clinched the title as well, which was a great game. Went 1-0 down early, but as we did all season, we've come back. Joe Edwards puts us in the lead, and then Ballymumba goes on some beautiful run, and then we finished the game off. It was great. Celebrations, 4,000 strong on the way end. Port Vale really allowed us to celebrate, which was great. And that is our quick review of how we clinched the title last season and how it felt as well. Players from last season quickly as well. Ballymumba, easily our player of the season. Unbelievable when he'd gone. We thought that was it. Not going to see him again until he comes back to home park for Norwich. Turns out, surprise, Argyle managed to bring him back on a permanent. Cannot be happier. Already started off season on fire, so that's brilliant. Morgan Whittaker as well, another player, easily one of our players of the season. Got tucked from us in January, treated badly at Swansea, so glad to see him back again. Already starting the season on fire again with a goal and assist. We can't complain about it. Two of our best players from last season back again already. Finn Azaz, another one back again. Brilliant start of the season he was. Let's see if he can continue that again this season and feature heavily and do well for us. That rounds up our preview of last season's Championship season, where we ended up, I said, champions. Got straight behind me, signed by Shuey himself, but the Greens going up, and we move on to the 2023-24 Championship season ahead. So already mentioned a couple signings already. Ballymumba, Morgan Whittaker, Finn Azaz, all from last season back to us again. But we've also brought in a few more recruits ready for the Championship. Julio Pleggy, looks to be a solid defender. He had a good full 90 minutes the other day as captain against Leyton Orient in the Carabao Cup. Solid performance, controlled it, looks good. Kane Kessler-Hayden, a left back, looks phenomenal. Never say that right. Phenomenal. We'll play right back, really, right left back. Looks incredible. He looks confident. He's an attacking player, almost like a Ballymumba again from last season, which is allowing Ballymumba to play further forward. And Kessler-Hayden sort of plays defensively and attacks into the midfield as well. Look another good pickup. Lewis Gibson, another centre back in there. So we've got Pleggy, Scar, Gibson. Gibson played the first game of the season against Huddersfield. Looked again, nothing can get past him. He was brilliant at the back. I think Shuey's going to have a few headaches if we're playing forward or back this season. He only has to choose two centre backs. He's going to be certainly choosing between Scar, Pleggy, and Gibson as to which two combine out of those three to fill that back four. Lewis Warrington's come in. Seen a little bit of him in the Carabao Cup. Looks like he can run. Looks like he's got a lot of energy to him. Looks like he gets a bit frustrated, but he looks like he can control that midfield and really work the ball around. So excited to see a little bit more of him play as well. Another player brought into the midfield is Luke Cundle. Once again, another midfielder. He looks like he intercepts very well. He's very quick on his feet, very quick thinking. So he played a little bit during the Carabao Cup, and he looked good again. So another young. All our signings are young, looking to the future, trying to build this team and the team philosophy of building young and creating an exciting, attacking kind of football to not be afraid to express themselves. So he looks like another great addition. Connor Hazard, goalkeeper. So actually, this was was this the first signing of our season. It was an early one. We paid, I think it was 150,000 for him. First game against Huddersfield, bit nervy, a few bad passes. I mean, it was heavily windy, but it was a nervy 90 minutes in stands watching him, and his misled passes. But he did manage to do quite a lot of shot stopping, point blank range saves. So we'll see how that one goes. Jury's out on that one in a minute. That sums up the transfers so far for the season coming up. We apparently are in the market for one more loan signing as a striker. Loan FC, aka Try Before We Buy FC. Strong in the market as always, so we're interested to see who it is today. I've seen the rumours, the 11th of August, of maybe being Kiefer Moore. I said my co-host hopefully be joining on the show at some point. May have a few things to say about that as a Cardiff fan, but that'll be an interesting signing up top. International pedigree, big man. So feel that sort of Sam Cosgrove role from last year. So we'll see if that one comes to fruition. The championship season, like I said, has already started. It's a Friday night now, so we're about to start the second weekend of the championship season. First game last weekend, home to Huddersfield. It was one of those games where I felt that if I would have been disappointed if we didn't walk away with something. I felt like we could have won that game. A draw would have been alright, happy with it, but I felt if we lost, I would have been disappointed with it. So the game, the atmosphere, the buzz to get that season started, to be back in the championship was electric. The crowd was incredible. It was sold out home park. I think it was 16,500 with a good following from Huddersfield as well, about 1,500 from Huddersfield there making lots of noise. So it was a great atmosphere. Great to be part of it again after a few months off. And we played great. Like I said, they troubled us a few times. A few nervy points throughout the game. Bad passes. The wind was very strong as well, caused a bit of problems with both teams. But it was a good game, and we sort of controlled it. It got a bit nervy. Took the lead 1-0. Morgan Whittaker, bit of a scrappy goal to start the season off, but we'll take it. That ball ends up in the back of net. We don't care how it gets in there. Whittaker finished from close range after a bit of a mess up clearance from the Huddersfield defence, but sent us on away. Huddersfield did come back into it. They equalised on the stroke of half time. Argyle failed to clear an attack. Shot rebound off the post into the middle of the area, and there was a Terriers player there to tap it into an empty net basically. So it was a bit of a setback on the stroke of half time. It would have been nice to go in at half time in the lead, but it was a good solid half. We controlled it. We just let that slip at the end. Little lack of concentration. Second half was a lot better once again. At the beginning, Huddersfield were a bit in control over us at the beginning. There were a lot more passing. They had a lot more possession than we did. And then out of nowhere, Ballymumba does what Ballymumba does, picks the ball up and just runs. He ran through a couple Huddersfield defenders. Hardy made a lovely run diagonally across and taking one defender slightly to the side, which allowed Mumba to open into the gap and then slot it past the keeper to make it 2-1. You tell what it meant to him. The crowd went electric. It was a brilliant moment. And then not long after that, Morgan Whittaker does what he does best. He nicked the ball in midfield, spotted Hardy right on the shoulder of the defence, slotted him through, and Hardy did the rest, scoring his 50th goal for Plymouth Argyle, making the game 3-1, making it a comfortable victory in the end. Pick up those 3 points on the first game of the championship season certainly allows us to look forward with our chin up, with belief and excitement that we're going to have a good season and not do what everyone else seems to think we're going to do, and that's be easy relegation candidates. So yeah, that was a great start to the season. A couple of days later, we had the Carabao Cup first round. I didn't expect a big crowd. First round games aren't normally a big thing, but we had 10,500 people at Home Park on a Tuesday evening to face Leyton Orient in the Carabao Cup first round. It was Leyton Orient. It was an easy game. It was a training ground game for Argyle. Effectively watching it, it was a lot of passing, a lot of possession. We weren't really threatened. Nice easy 2-0 win. Didn't really get out of second gear, I don't think. It was a good easy win into the second round, which the draw has been done. And we've got another home tie against Crystal Palace, so we've got a Premier League team coming down the home park. Once again, I don't think it's a team we can look at and go, we're definitely going to lose, but we'll have to be on our A game to win it. So that's a good start to the season. 2 games, 2 wins, creating that winning mentality, getting that confidence and belief in the team has started off really well. So on to this weekend's game. Like I said, it's the second weekend, the Championship. Argyle are away to Watford. Disappointing. I was supposed to be going to the game. Unfortunately, my boy's come down with COVID today, so the babysitter is not going to be able to babysit him with the risk of spreading it around. So I've had to cancel my trip and plans of going the night before actually going to the game. So that sucks. But it's a game that it's a tough one. I've said this to the co-host that it's one of those games that we'll have to accept defeat, I reckon. But then last season was the same. No one gave us a chance against Derby, Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday. We ended up beating them all. Watford, I know it's a different calibre of team, but I reckon it's going to be a defeat this weekend. We'll be lucky, I think, to get away with a draw. I hope to prove us wrong, obviously. Draw or win would be amazing. But I reckon we're going to go for a Watford win on this one. Got to be realistic. 2-0, 2-1. Let's see if they prove me wrong. Please, prove me wrong. As for other games in the Championship, we've got QPR away to Cardiff City. I can't see Cardiff losing this one. Under Bullet as new manager, Aaron Ramsey back in the team. The way that actually Cardiff played against Leeds United last week, they were lucky not to get that win. Last minute equaliser over Leeds, making it 2-2. QPR getting destroyed by Argyles opponents tomorrow, Watford, 4-0. I don't know what Ainsworth is doing there, but it's not working for him. And I reckon Cardiff's going to run out comfortable winners tomorrow, or today, whenever you're watching this. I'll probably do this on Saturday, so it'll probably be today. So that's going to be, I reckon it's a Cardiff win on that game. One other game to point out, maybe Southampton versus Norwich. Southampton, opening day at Sheffield Wednesday, they controlled the game. I know Sheffield Wednesday got that goal, but it was all Southampton. The passing, the possession, I think it ended up like 76% possession or something like that. They absolutely controlled it, and they seemed like they were going to be basically the Man City of the Championship this season. And then they went and lost in the Carabao Cup 3-1 to Gillingham. No, it's the Carabao Cup. I think they put out a relatively strong team though. There was maybe a few changes, but it was still a good, strong team. And they lost 3-1 to Gillingham. So who knows what Southampton's going to turn up against Norwich. Norwich again, they should be a good team. They should be up there. So we'll wait and see how that one comes about. I reckon it could be a draw, if not Southampton winning it. Maybe another sort of late win or something like that to this one. But I'm terrible at predictions, so don't go with anything I say. Honestly, it won't do any good. But I reckon Southampton are going to nick that one over Norwich. Probably a last late goal on that one. So back to tomorrow's game for Argyle. I'm going with a team lineup. These are hard to predict. I don't think I've ever got 11 out of 11. I think I got 10 out of 11 once. My average is about 6 or 7. Of all the new signings that Shuey's brought in, while he's working out the formation and the way he wants to play, it's pretty much near on impossible for me to get this right. But here's my lineup for tomorrow against Watford away. He's going to line up in a 4-3-3, I'd imagine again still. He seems to be sticking with his formation. He used it a lot in pre-season. Started at these first 2 games as well. So he's going for a more solid defensive line with a heavy emphasis with Mumba and Whittaker probably attacking mostly and counter-attacking on the wings is what I think the option is. So starting in goal, it's a tough one. Me personally, I'd like to see him go Burton. Just for that confidence and how well Burton did last season for us. I reckon he's probably the more confident keeper to have in go against a team like Watford away. But I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to put Connor Hazard in go again. He's going to build his confidence up, give him another chance to sort of find his feet, get used to the passing game he wants him to play out with. So I reckon we're going to start with Connor Hazard in go. Our fullbacks, so Joe Edwards, captain, is going to be a right back. We need him I think for tomorrow's game. Need that experience. Need him to lead the team. Make sure everyone stays calm, controlled. I reckon that's a very good choice. He's got the experience. He knows how to play. So yeah, I think Joe Edwards at right back, definitely. Left back, bit of a more awkward one. Saxon Early could play, but he played in the Carabao Cup. Mikael Miller has had an injury, but was apparently fit enough to play. Kane Kessler-Hayden picked up an injury in the Carabao Cup, went out at half time. Haven't really heard any more about it since, so I'm not sure if he's going to be fit enough to start the game tomorrow. So it's a tough one. I reckon we're going to go with Mikael Miller to start with in defence at left back against Watford. He's an exciting player. We just got to keep him injury free, so I don't know how it's going to go or if Shuey's going to risk it. But I reckon out of the choices we've got, they'll probably start with Miller at left back. The back centre too. So I said this is where Shuey's going to have a bit of a headache in selecting which two. Scar and Gibson last week against Huddersfield were incredible. They really were. And then Pleggy had a solid game in the Carabao Cup as captain. So he's really got a good headache to have. I reckon because he did Scar and Gibson last week, he's probably going to go with Scar and Plegazelu this time. Just to see how they work. Get that bit more sort of connection between those two. Scar and Plague is captain, or was captain in the midweek. Just give that a bit more shouting and dominance and control in the defence, because they both like to shout, they both like to dictate. So I reckon in a game where we're going to be probably heavily attacked, it might be worth having those two at the back. So the back four of Joe Edwards, Plegazelu, Scar and Mikel Miller. Midfield two. So I say midfield two because we're going to play probably three midfield, but one's will be a bit more attacking. It may pull it back a little bit because it's Watford. But the midfield two, I reckon go for two players that are more defensively minded, that tackle and really get in there. Adam Randall is going to be one of those two, and Matt Butcher is going to be the other one. I reckon Butcher and Randall are the two who's going to sit in the midfield, just try and hold that play, break up Watford's attacks, and really disturb any kind of flow going. Is probably the two best options I can think of to sit in there and be a bit more defensive minded to help defence out when Watford come at us. Just in front of them, in the more attacking midfield place, he may sit in more midfield and then attack on the break. Is either Callum Wright or Finn Azaz. Started Callum Wright last time. I reckon he's going to start Finn Azaz this time, just because Azaz has got that Premier League experience a bit more. He's come from Villa, he's trained at Villa for a while. He was with us last season, and I just reckon Finn Azaz is more suited to really sort of pick the passes that's needed when we counter attack. We're not going to have many of them, so I reckon it's got to be precise. It's got to be good little play and creativity. So I reckon Finn Azaz sitting just in front of Randall and Butcher to sort of spray those passes up front and through to the striker is the right choice for tomorrow's game. Who knows? So two wingers. I reckon these two probably aren't going to change much in terms of the starting two throughout the season, but it's got to be Ballymumba on the left, Morgan Whittaker on the right. Both are just phenomenal players. They see the game differently. They counter attack with pace and intelligence, and you got to have them too. If we're going to be against Watford, who I imagine are going to be attacking well, we need those two outlets to just run, create, and just cause trouble on the counter attack. So without shadow of doubt, it's got to be Ballymumba, Morgan Whittaker on the wings. He's probably going to prove it wrong, but that's what I feel we're going to have. And up front, like I said, we haven't got many options. We've got Ryan Hardy or Ben Waine. I really want to see Ben Waine progress this season. He looks like an exciting striker that's just going to run and cause defence all sorts of trouble. But it's going to be Ryan Hardy that starts tomorrow. It's got to go with experience. Got to go with someone that can score the goals, that we know can get the goals. They say so. It's 50th goal for Argyle last week, so that pressure's off his shoulder now. A lot towards the end of last season, and you could tell he was really wanted that goal, and he failed to get it in quite a few games towards the end of the season. So to get that goal the first game of the season has lifted that pressure off his shoulders, and we definitely need him up front to start with tomorrow against Watford, and that completes the starting lineup that I feel we'll have against Watford tomorrow. And that there basically concludes episode 1 of Beat the First Man. Let me know what you think about my lineup and my prediction for the result against Watford. If you watch this before the game, if you watch this after the game, then obviously laugh at me about how wrong I was in all of aspect of today's game, the lineup, the result, everything. But it's just a bit of fun for me to do. I want to try and do something around football. Me and my friend come up with the idea of Beat the First Man podcast. Me with full-time work and full-time having the kids, and him with full-time work as well. I'm busy, obviously living in Wales. I live down in Plymouth. It's a bit hard trying to fit in the time to do a podcast and video like this. So I thought I'll go with the first video, put it out there, season started, and I'll try and drag him in some time, and we'll get the two of us going on this video. So thank you for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe if you want to. I think that's what these people say, isn't it? Just having a bit of fun, bringing the football community together in the Championship, up the greens. Let's go beat Watford.